In this video, we are going to study the properties of water under AP Unit 1 Chemistry of Life. There are 5 properties of water to be discussed, and these properties are related to the ability of water molecules to form hydrogen bonds. Let's start with the first property. Water has high heat capacity. This means that the temperature of water rises or falls slower than other temperature. To better understand this, take for example 1 gram of coldest water. In order to convert this 1 gram of coldest water to ice, we need a loss of 80 calories. But why this is important? Because this prevents lakes and streams from rapidly changing temperature and freezing completely. And this provides enough time for aquatic life to adapt their body temperature during rapid changes in the environment. But what gives the water this ability, or what allows water to have a high heat capacity? This is due to the hydrogen bonds. So thanks for hydrogen bonds for giving water the ability to absorb heat without change in temperature. Now let's shift directly to the second property of water, which is high heat of evaporation or high specific heat of water. We all know that evaporation is the changing of liquid to gas, and this is done in water by breaking down hydrogen bonds. However, in order to change 1 gram of hottest water into a gas, water needs an input of 540 calories. So this high heat of evaporation in water plays an important role in what is known as evaporative cooling in biology, which is sweating simply. Evaporative cooling. Evaporative cooling or sweating plays an important role in cooling down our body temperature. Thanks for high heat of evaporation of water and the need to break down hydrogen bonds for giving us the ability to cool down our body temperature while we are sweating. And also when we get splashed with water, our body temperature cools down in a summer day. And this is due to the high heat of evaporation of water. So again, 1 gram of the hottest water needs an input of 540 calories to turn into a gas. So this takes with it the thermal energy from our body. But there is another importance for the high heat of evaporation of water, which is maintaining a moderate temperature in coastal areas. So moderate temperature in coastal areas. Thanks for the high heat of evaporation for making the coastal areas moderate compared to the inner areas. Now let's move to the third property of water, which is water is a solvent for other polar molecules or ions. Take for example this ionic compound, sodium chloride. It has to get dissociated in water. We all know that, or we discussed before, that oxygen is partially negative charge while hydrogen is partially positive charge. This gives water the ability, or this polarity gives water the ability to form a hydration shell around the ions. The cation here is surrounded by water molecule where oxygen is facing the cation, while the anion here is also facing the positively charged atoms in water, which is hydrogen, forming a hydration shells around them. So one more time, thanks for polarity for giving water the ability to be a universal solvent and to dissociate ions in water. Now let's move directly to the property number 4, which is expanding during freezing. In other words, expanding during freezing can be described simply by saying that ice is less dense than liquid water. But we all know that ice is less dense than liquid water. But why this is the case? Because the behavior of water molecules when temperature decreases is a bit surprising. Because When temperature decreases, we all expect that molecules get closer, packing to each other, which increases the density of liquid water. So as temperature decreases, molecules of water, they pack, they come close to each other, increasing the density of water. But this is true until it reaches 4 degrees Celsius, which is the highest density. Below 4 degrees Celsius, something different is taking place. Water molecules starts to move away from each other. They expand, forming an ice crystal with a hexagonal shape. So this expansion that is taking place below 4 degrees Celsius decreases the density of water, which makes ice less dense than liquid water. But why this is important for life? Because if ice were not less dense than liquid water, then ice in a freezing lake will sink into the water and it wouldn't float, and hence changing the temperature of water dramatically. And also, ice plays an important role as an insulator that keeps water warmer in a way or another than the surrounding environment. Now, the last property of water is water has a cohesive and adhesive behavior. What do we mean by cohesive behavior? Cohesive behavior means that water can cling to each other. Water molecules can cling to each other. Remember that each water molecule can form hydrogen bonds with at most 4 other water molecules, thanks for polarity, the partially positive charged hydrogen atom and the partially negative charged oxygen atoms. But why this is important? Why cohesion is important? One of the things is giving water a high surface tension. We mean by high surface tension that water acts as if it is a membrane where water striders, this light-weighted insect, can walk on it. So what gives the water striders the ability to walk on the surface of water is the high surface tension of water, thanks for cohesion. And also, we all remember this game of jumping rocks. Also, these rocks can jump on the surface of water due to cohesion and the high surface tension of water. But water doesn't also only exhibit cohesive behavior, but it also exhibits adhesive behavior, which is the clinging of water to other polar surface. So if there is a polar surface, water can cling to it. And these two properties, cohesion and adhesion, both of them plays an important role in transporting nutrients in blood. Remember, 90% of the liquid found in blood is made up of water. Thanks for cohesion and adhesion, and also for water as being a universal solvent for giving the ability of the blood to transport nutrients in the cardiovascular system. But this doesn't stop here. Also, cohesion and adhesion play an important role in forming the capillary action. Capillary action can be understood by addressing transpiration in plants. Remember, transpiration is the evaporation of water from the surface of a mesophyll cell, from a leaf. So this evaporated water due to transpiration must be replaced by water coming from the soil. Then how water can climb or move up in a tree? This is due to the capillary action. Thanks for cohesion and for adhesion. Remember, adhesion is the ability of water molecule to cling to a polar surface, while cohesion is the ability of water molecule to cling to each other. Due to cohesion and adhesion, this capillary action would take place, which allows water to move up in a tree to replace the evaporated water from the leaf. Now, what are some AP questions found in Barrons, AP Barrons? One of the questions could be water's high specific heat is due to what? The high specific heat or the high heat of evaporation is due to the energy needed to break down hydrogen bonds. Another question could be related to the Coastal areas near large bodies of water tend to have more stable climate or moderate climate, and also thanks for high heat of evaporation or high specific heat of water. One of the questions in Barrons is related to the light-weighted insects. Of course, cohesion and high surface tension of water gives the ability for light-weighted insects like water sliders to walk on the surface of water. One of the questions could be related to Arctic seals that rely on ice to float on the surface of water, and this is due to the fact that ice is less dense than liquid water. Other question could be related to the capillary action and the ability of water to move in a tall tree. This is due to the capillary action thanks for adhesion and cohesion. One of the questions also could be related to the evaporative cooling. As we discussed before, it's due to the high heat of evaporation. A very interesting question was about misters in a summer day. You know, these, when you spray water in a summer day, what gives the water the ability to cool down the body temperature? It's of course the high heat of evaporation. It's due to the need of energy to break down hydrogen bonds. The question in the short free response related to this also, if we replaced water with non-polar oil, would it have an effective role in cooling down body temperature? Of course no, because non-polar oil doesn't have these hydrogen bonds that needs to be broken down. One of the questions also in Barrons was about water as a universal solvent, why water has the ability to dissolve salt, which is sodium chloride, more rapidly than methane, because water is polar and water can form a hydration shell around the ions, where oxygen, the partially negatively charged atom, will face the cation, and the hydrogen positively charged atom will face the anion, while methane is non-polar and it doesn't have the ability to form these hydration shells. So these in general some of the AP questions as mentioned in Barrons.